that the facts and the numbers she's stating are true. Why? Because all the evidence in the first managerial meeting, she calls the stakeholders to produce the evidence to support what they're doing. Number two, the Auditor General has actually said, and Jeff, I hope you'll allow me to quote her, okay, in her report.
Go ahead.
She says, 1 second, sir. She says, number one, Nancy Githungu's audit report on the National Government Ministries 2023-24 highlights the glaring inconsistencies in the procurement of the healthcare information technology digitization system, the system used to run SHA at the Ministry of Health at a cost of 104 billion. Then she says, the Auditor General revealing these glaring discrepancies in the tender, paperwork, contract agreements, and financial proposals. Then she goes on to say, the auditor lifting the lead on how procurement laws were violated with no inclusion of procurement plan nor a medium-term budgetary expenditure framework before procuring the system. Then she says, the report details how the management breached the law by using uncompetitive procurement procedure known as specially permitted procurement procedure in single sourcing a service provider for the digital system, violating Article 227 of the Constitution, which requires fairness, accountability, and transparency. Finally, Dr. Githungu discloses the contract entered did not provide the scope of work, which means even the figure being mentioned right now could be extrapolated by the provider of the service. Then it says the number of health facilities where the technology system will be installed was never disclosed. Why? Because if you don't give me the facilities that you want to disclose, if I have this system, I can then go and create my own health facilities which physically don't exist, and I put them into the system. Number two,
let Moses reply.
Thank you very much. The cost of training people who are going to manage this system is 7 billion shillings. That's what Nancy says here. There are no explanation to show the number of healthcare workers to be trained on the system and mode of training to arrive at that cost. Lastly, the amount of money that SHA found in the account of NHF was 102 billion shillings. Nobody talks about that money. Nobody says where it went. Nobody even says where that money is kept right now. It's not in the consolidated fund. That's what Nancy's saying. Finally, the other issue that you have here is very simple. Very amazing, Jeff. You have somebody, she's a doctor, and she's just told me this. It's shocking. She says, excluding hospitals' debt, if you discuss the 32 billion which was accrued by NHIF, this was money that the government was owing NHIF. Why? Because these were government workers that were being treated.
Moses.
And then finally,
hold on.
The health data shipment. Finally,
Moses needs to reply.
I'm giving you the last one. I want him to reply all of them. Finally, by us allowing shipment or access by a foreign entity is tantamount to exposing our sovereignty and an issue of national security. Imagine someone who knows your diseases, your vulnerabilities, and what they can do with that information, in fact, in case they want to create a biological weapon on you.
What?
You know, Senator Onyonga has jumped from Nancy Githungu to his doctor.
No, it's Nancy. It's Nancy. No, it's Nancy. It's in our report.
I have got a preliminary.
It's in our report.
I've got a preliminary question because we can discuss the facts aside.
Yes. And the facts are stubborn.
And facts are stubborn, and I'll come to facts. But I've got a preliminary question. What
Thank you.
Call a preliminary objection.
Yes.
Senator Onyonga, you want to tell me that a report from the Auditor General is final because you said he has conviction?
No, what I said is this.
We say the same of the audit reports in the CDF of Kitutu Church South.
Wait.
That whatever came from the Auditor General is final.
Waziri.
You know,
Waziri.
This is a man of integrity.
Waziri.
This is a man I have a lot of high regard for.
Waziri.
I give you a chance.
Don't praise me.
No.
Don't praise me.
No.
Waziri, Nancy's report
is
actually final.
Excuse me, protect me.
Go on.
Because I gave him a chance.
You gave him time to talk.
What I'm saying is, it's not final. First of all, it's not final. One, I'll say the following. One, all audit, and I'm saying this as a member of my profession. So I am very sparing now what I'm saying here, because it will be unlike me to come here and attack a fellow member of the accounting profession, especially one whom we went to the same school, like the Auditor General. But I'll say the following. One, when this report was sent to the ministry did give a response. It did give a response. Nowhere does that response, against the norms of audit, even against the norms of what we call the rules of natural justice, that everyone be given a chance, to respond. So, Auditor General comes with this report, which, in my opinion, was actually informed by the proposal that came from the consortium, not by the final contract. She has not referred to the contract. And I want you to call her here, because everybody now should be held to account, including the Auditor General. She's not beyond being questioned, okay? So she should be called and asked, did you check on the contract, or did you report on the proposal? That's number one. Two, when the Ministry of Health did give their response, as required of you professionally, as part of due care, that is one of our guiding principles, as part of the generally acceptable accounting principles, which me and you were taught by the good professors. Did you give the Ministry of Health a chance to respond, and did you factor in the comments? Is it not a fact? Is it disputed that your report, as submitted to Parliament, never had the rejoinder? How would life be? How would life be if someone would make an accusation against everyone? All the way, and that's why we have got, even within our judiciary, several layers going up to the Supreme Court. How unfair would it be for anyone to come and accuse Senator Onyonka that you have done something, as we have been accused for wrongly most of the times, and sometimes people have been accused rightly. But this whole game of giving someone the chance to be able to respond. So I am constrained by two things. One, the matters that are deponed to in that particular report are also matters which are in court. Senator Omtata, who is his colleague, has taken those matters to court. I thought that as part of fidelity to the rule of law, the Auditor General would have actually recognized that that matter is in court. That's number one. Even us discussing it here is sub judice, but if you go to jail, I'm in good company, so it's okay. So it's fine.
We'll all share the same cell.
We'll share the same cell with this. We'll have some very intellectual discussion.
Okay.
It will be smoking in that cell. So what I'm saying is, one, the data of this data is not residing out of the country. Number two, in the 12th Parliament, Senator Onyonka and myself were members of the Budget Committee until I was kicked out from that committee, And the Auditor General came to us many times asking to be capacitated in terms of budgets. And I can now see where she was coming from that particular time, where Edward Ouko was coming from that time, because it came to us many times. One, I do believe that the office of the Auditor General requires to be beefed up by two categories of people. One is lawyers. Two is procurement experts. I can see, as a profession in that profession, that there is some gap there in terms of how can you doubt something that we were the lawmakers. This so-called specially permitted procedure is not something we picked from the air. It's something that is in the law. It is allowed in the law. The procuring entity is entitled to it. If we don't want someone to use specially permitted, we simply go to Parliament, change the law, and then it's not going to be available anymore. But it does not mean that, because is it a legitimate, is it a legal, is it a lawful mechanism for procurement or not?
After that entry meeting, whoever that audit was being done is given not less than 6 months to respond. There's a fast response, which we don't have. There's a second. So when Moses says that, in fact, the Minister of Health did not have a response, no. If you look at what the minister herself has said, there are discrepancies in the way this project is being set up, and I will only hopefully come to answer them in Parliament. The same narrative is giving. Number two, Nancy Githungu was at the Senate today, this morning.
Yeah.
Every single thing I have reported here is what she reported. She said This is a system that is opaque. We don't know who the owners are. We don't have where our health data is kept. The company that has made arrangements, of course, is Safaricom, with a company that is set up in the Cayman Island and another company that is set up in India. This whole exercise is being set up by individuals who nobody within the government knows. If you look at the judiciary, their own data kept there. It's domiciled there. If you go to the Ministry of Transport, NTSA, they have their own data. Why was it difficult for the government not to have government officers running our data, and yet we are spending 10 billion shillings a year? That's 1 billion shillings a month and more to run a system which 2 boys who are in Strathmore would have run, and it will work. This level of ignorance is appalling. First of all, but I'll ignore that. I'll ask you one question, Senator Onyonka.
Thank you.
Assume it is 111 billion.
Yes.
Where did the money come from?
It's coming from the sick patients.
Where did it come from?
It's coming from the sick.
Because we have the system.
It's coming from the sick.
The system that is running.
It's coming from the sick. If the system was being run by the government, you wouldn't tax.
Let me ask you.
This is another tax.
No, let me ask.
That's all we are saying.
Let me ask a question.
Yes.
Before even we started charging and moving, we had the systems in place.
Absolutely, but NHIF never used to charge 100. I mean, 10 billion
where did the money
a year.
come from?
The money is coming from the patients.
Let me put it this way, Jeff. The other day, and we jumped up and down about Adani. We scrapped Adani.
Yes.
Very good, we are happy.
Yeah.
The airport is still leaking.
No.
We condemned, no, wait a minute. We condemned public-private partnership.
No, that wasn't the case. It is the opacity.
These people,
it is the hidden scandals behind Adani.
These people,
we fought for Adani because money, again, was being stolen.
Well, excuse me. You know very well that to get today 5 billion shillings from the budget, with all the loans John Buddy is paying, with all the things that we have, with all the pensions that we have, with all the interest that we are paying to domestic debt, to get even 5 billion shillings today as an expenditure.
Hold on.
But we are using 23 billion to renovate State House.
No, wait a minute.
Yes.
Wait a minute. And by the way, you sit in a more privileged situation because, that comes to you in Parliament.
Thank you.
So you sit in a more privileged place than me.
Yes.
To even query 23 billion.
It's 23 billion.
It's not,
he knows the numbers.
There's no committee in JKL. So it is all in Parliament,
Yes.
But for me, in my opinion, this government, and I've got no shame on that, we've chosen public-private partnership. Deliberately so, as a means of achieving what we can't achieve within our budget means. There's no pretense about that one. If I don't have money to go and say, I'm going to take the money that is for education, that is money that is for running my essential services, the money that is for my social protection and all the things that I must do, money that is for my police, money that is for fertilizer, whatever is of long-term capital, investment nature, PPP is a decided policy of this government.
Can I respond to that, Jeff?
Of this government.
Yeah.
Some people don't believe in PPP.
No.
That's
we
fine.
do.
That's
we do.
fine.
We do. Jeff.
Show me where else, if you don't want to deploy private capital from those people with the private capital,
Jeff.
if you don't want to follow the route that other countries have followed to take off, then show me what is the alternative. But you see, even if you look at our plan, our manifesto, that's not something new. When we went to the people, we told the people that we are going to use public-private partnership as a means of resolving our issues. Let me just take you to another route. Today, we are talking about NHIF debts for 30 billion. I have told you that billion has been accumulated since 2016. I was the Vice Chair of Transport in the 12th Parliament and a co-member with him in the Budget Committee. Do you know how much pending bills we have in the road sector?
Yes.
We had to raise last week from private people, from banks, from pension funds.
How much?
175 billion to pay debts that we didn't create.
And I would like to see the list. I would like to see the list who was paid.
Senator.
Let me say this, Jeff. Honorable Moses, you advise the president. Please listen to some of us. I am begging you. I have so much respect for you that some things I can't even raise them here. Bro, it is very simple. you can't come and challenge what an auditor, just hold on first, hold on, no.
It's not
let me finish my statement. Let me finish my statement. And anyway, you're talking about the audit report. Let me leave it. What we are saying, and what many people have been saying, right now, I got somebody who's telling me there's a hospital in Nyeri called Trispan. His mother is there. The bill is 560,000. They are trying to have the system work. It's not work. I don't want to show you my phone. But
please show me.
Thank you. Thank you.